Hello everybody, it's your host, Josiah Garcia, and welcome back to another episode of Asking the Right Questions. You are watching episode 3 of our digital series, and if you haven't seen the first and second one yet, in which we talk about the personal self and relationships, you can check it out by clicking the links down below. It's a good day today, or so I thought until I had breakfast and mindlessly complained about school, which led to a lengthy lecture from my dad who had it harder in his old days. Just kidding. In this video, we are going to unpack the infamous generation gap. Whether you're a rebellious teen, or a trendy millennial, or a slow boomer, this video is for you. And soon enough, you're going to realize that there's something much more into these terms and they aren't really that much justifiable. First, let's list down the current 6 living generations and their characteristics. Just a note, different sources may define each range differently, so take this information with a grain of salt. The silent generation was born in 1945 and earlier. They value traditional morals and support conformity and consistency. They are also said to be very hardworking and loyal. The baby boomers, born between 1946 and 1964. As baby boomers grew up in a time of mass middle-class affluence, the traditionist values started to fall apart and self-actualization emerged. They are also said to be work-centric, goal-oriented, and competitive. Generation X, born between 1965 and 1980. This generation is said to be the most firstly independent group. They are also said to be self-sufficient and resourceful in their own rights. The Millennials, or Gen Y, born between 1981 and 1996. They are also known as digital natives, in which technology has become part of their daily lives. This generation is said to be result-oriented, team players, and is not afraid of challenging the status quo. Gen Z, born between 1997 and 2012. As they have a lot of access to knowledge and have been exposed to different topics, this generation welcomes change. They are also said to be more competitive, financially focused, and enjoy the presence of other people. And the most recent generation, Generation Alpha. A social researcher once said that this generation will be the most educated generation so far. Now, as the 6 generations live in different environments and have different perceptions, this results in what we call the generation gap. The generation gap is the differences in values, opinions, and views and attitudes between people of different generations. The term was first coined in the 1960s in the US and Europe when it was first used to describe the cultural differences between baby boomers and their parents. Up to this day, these differences remain, which is why generation gaps are still relevant even after 6 decades. We can observe generation gap mainly in 2 different ways. First off, when we compare different generations at a similar age. And second, when there is a comparison of views and beliefs of different generations on a particular topic. Notice the keyword we have here. Difference. Different generations may have different opinions, and understanding the causes of these differences can help us bridge the gap between these generations. One of the main causes of the generation gap is because each generation tends to have different environment in which they live. Globalization is the spread of products, investment, and technology across national borders and cultures. It is more evident in younger generations than in older ones. This makes younger generations more open to new things and practices, which may cause uneasiness to the traditional older generations. There are many other factors that can cause the generation gap, and if I'm going to discuss all of them, it may take me a generation. So we've only given you some few reasons to at least give you some background information. Now let's look at the generation gap in different aspects. When it comes to family relationships, generation gap is more apparent. Parents and their children tend to have different opinions, like the younger generation tends to prefer being more independent, while some of the parents are very restrictive. This may be due to lack of communication that the family has. As parents spend more time on their jobs, their children spend more time occupied with technology or with their friends. Not only do their opinions differ, but also their perception of their relationship with each other. A study once suggested that parents view the relationship with their kids more positively compared to the perception of the children towards their parents. Globalization was previously mentioned in this video, and it also kind of applies to politics. Like what was stated before, newer generations tend to be more liberal and open-minded, while older generations can be more traditional and guarded. This can be seen in some of their voting patterns. Generation gaps can also be seen in our day-to-day activities. For example, baby boomers might prefer face-to-face communication compared to Gen Z, who might prefer mobile communication. Also, Gen Y may prefer working in groups, while Gen Z may prefer working alone because it is a faster way to do it. Now that we have discussed the importance, definition, and causes of generation gap, we can now finally get down to shortening the gap. A study once showed that we, and by we I mean all generations, are overwhelmingly willing to work on our differences. However, the big question is, how are we going to do it? And so, we've provided tips for you, and you can just check out our Facebook page because we've posted again lots of information over there. And so this marks the end of today's episode. Just to wrap up, we have discussed the definition, causes and effects of generation gap, and some insights into its different aspects. We've also shared tips on how to shorten the generation gap. We hope that you learned something from this video. And if you enjoyed the video, you can leave a like, comment, and share this to your friends and family. Please anticipate for the next episode, because another interesting topic might be coming up. Don't forget to continue supporting our scale activity and watch the previous episodes. Again, this has been Josiah Garcia of Asking the Right Questions. See you next video.